Hi everyone, this is Laura from Grain & Company, and today I'm here with the first video for the October Creative Maker Box. So let's get started. So we have our round base, we've got our cutout design, and you will need your stand for this as well. So let's begin by painting the base first. So we're going to start with our white. Now, this is a pretty basic one, but we'll still go through it because we have some new joiners, so we would like to go through that when they start as well. So we are painting this. This one's a little rough on me right now, so I'm just going to give it a quick sand. There we go. Okay, so look for your best side. Now this is the back part that goes down on the machine, so you can easily sand that part after, but we're only painting the front, and we're using our 1-inch brush from our brush set. You probably need some baby wipes to wipe off the edge when you're painting, so if you get a little paint on there, you can wipe that off. Oops, I didn't give myself enough. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, so let's get that on there. So add some paint to your brush, and I kind of like to start down a little bit and work it back and forth. And I'm just going against, that way most of my paint won't go over the edge. And then I'm just going to gently go back and smooth that over so all of the brush strokes go with the grain of the wood. Good, I'll just lightly brush that back and forth. Now I'm not worrying about my first coat being perfect because we will have to do 2 for sure. Okay, and then just go across. So then when you're done, see, this one's pretty good. I got a little bit there, but by taking your brush and brushing it this way off the edge rather than this way, you're not painting that edge. So little trick there. And then I'm just gonna come in and wipe my edge. Now when you wipe your edge, especially on a white color, you can see some discoloration around the edge just from the charring on the wood. So we can cover that up with the next coat of paint. And we can, I like, it doesn't bother me too much because sometimes it adds a little bit of a aged look, but depending on what you're going for. Sometimes it helps too, even before you paint, if you go around and wipe some of that char off, then it won't have so much left when you're painting. Okay, so that won't take long to dry because our layers are fairly thin. So we don't have a bag, so I'm just going to take this out of here and stick my brush in there for the time being. And while that's drying, I'm going to work on this one. So in order for me to keep the pieces in, I'm just going to add some tape across the back. Now you could reuse the tape in the front, but you'll find when you start to peel it off that it'll take little wood splinters with it, and then it loses its tackiness and doesn't want to stick to the slipperier back of the adhesive. So I tend to just throw it away. All right, so now because we're doing 2 colors, I can leave some of this tape on right now. I'm only going to pull off the stuff that is black, and this will be enough for me to just recover that, so that way I don't worry about getting any other color. Now there is enough gap in between each of the letters and such that you could do both colors, you know, at the same time, but for this video we're just going to do one at a time. So I'm going to start with the black, and on my tray I'm just going to add a little bit. Okay, I'm just using my leftover little sponge pieces, but in your box you'll have a foam wedge, so you can use it fully for your first, for your main color, the black, and then you can chop it apart afterwards, or you can cut it in half right away and have more pieces to work with your other kits. So dip it in the paint and blot most of it off. So you can see that it's mostly dry. You don't want to add too much because you don't want the paint to seep down the sides of the letters that are cut. You're really just hitting the surface. If you get too heavy on your paint, then what you'll do is you'll end up having your letters get stuck in the template because the paint has now act like a glue pretty much and has stuck them in there. So you really just want to do light layers, and we'll usually do 2 to 3 depending on the color and how light you've done it. So less is definitely best. And all right, so I'm just doing each one. I'm not worrying about if I've missed a little bit or my surface has got a line in the table, so I tend to not get that flat part. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that dry for a moment and then we can readdress this. Now in that time, because my layer was very thin, it's very dry, but you're definitely gonna notice some texture from the wood swelling because of the paint. So you'll take your 400 grit sandpaper and you wanna sand with the grain. I tend to go and turn it so the grain is going up and down. So that way I can go up and down with it instead of working side to side, because some people tend to create an arch kind of movement as they go across. So this way you can go up and down in a straight line. It's not necessarily as noticeable as a darker color, but it's a nice practice to get into, just doing it this way if that works best for you. And then take your hand and just feel to make sure that it's buttery smooth. And don't worry about this coat, whether you've worn a little bit of the paint away, because it's kind of like the primer coat. Gets that wood sealed. Okay. And then just take some paper towel and wipe off that extra dust. Okay, and then we're gonna do this again. So what you're gonna do is just keep repeating that process until you get the coverage that you want on your base. So for the next 2 coats, I will just speed up the video so you don't have to watch in real time exactly what I'm doing. So. Okay, that's done. That's the second coat. So definitely, yeah, you don't want to leave that edge drying too long before you start to wipe it, because it does make it harder for you to get it off. So, because Fusion is pretty durable and dries very tough. So definitely getting it off faster is better. Okay, so once again, this is dry. Same thing. You're going to want to sand so that it's nice and smooth. Oops, a bit of white on there. And then try and wipe some of that dust or blow it out, because you don't want the dust to get caught in those grooves, because your paint can just hold on to that a whole lot easier. So let's get a little bit more. And once again, you're going to see me do this on fast since you've just seen me do this already. Okay, so that was coat number 2, and it's looking pretty good. You saw me turn that, because sometimes I find that if I keep doing it in the same direction, sometimes some pieces I'm not getting into as easily. So if I come at it a different direction, then sometimes I don't have to work so hard to get the paint on the edges. So, so that one will just sit there. And so this is taking a little longer to dry now. So I'm just gonna give that another minute, and you know what, there's enough space in between here that I'm just gonna continue on and work on the orange at the same time. So all right, so, and if you have other kits and you've got other little sponges, this is great for using those little tiny pieces up, because you're not doing a whole lot with these two. And you can save your new one for another time. All right. Okay, so let that dry. And come back and check this. Okay, I'm gonna give that just a couple more minutes. So I'm just gonna pause the video, and then I will come back and I will continue on with that one. Okay, back, it's dry. Okay, so if you are done and you're good with 2 coats, then sometimes you can come back with a clean one and just kind of wipe some of that char off the edge. I, however, am going to do one more, so I am going to go at it one more time. Okay, and then I'm going to wipe those edges, and then we'll call that one done. Okay, so we're good there. And I'm just going to set that off to the side, and we can continue on with this. So my black's looking good, but I'm going to give it one last sand, and then I'm going to give it another coat, and then I'm not going to sand it again till later, because sometimes I like the black to really set before I go at it on that last coat, because it just tends to wear away too fast. And so also I forgot to mention, as you're painting and you're between each coat and you're sanding, just give that a little bit of movement. Make sure they're not getting stuck in there. That way you'll know that you're not doing too heavy of a coat. All right. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna do the black first. Okay, so I will probably end up doing one more on the orange, just based on the type of color it is. It can take sometimes 3 to build it up. But either way, I will come back when this is completely done, and then we will go ahead and do the assembly part. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so this is done, and it's going to be sanded again. Even though this project doesn't take that long, if you can't finish putting it together with this part, then what I suggest is taking your pieces out of here and letting them stay out of here until you can do that. Now watch when you take that out that you don't lose that little dot. So, so that way, if by chance you were a little heavy at all, or any paint seep down the sides, that it's not going to get stuck in here. It's always better to be a little cautious there. So. don't need those centers anymore, so you can just stack those. Don't lose that. Oh, don't. Okay. Okay, there. Yeah, as long as it's out of here, it is safe to sit there for however long it will take you to come back and assemble it. However, if you are ready to assemble now, then we will get started here. So what you're going to do is you want to find the grain of the wood, which are those lines that are going side to side, and you want to line this up so that those also, the design is going side to side. It just looks the most natural. So once you've got that good there, and it's even all the way around, then you can start placing your pieces. So I like to get one done near the top and the bottom so that it doesn't have the chance to shift on me, and then I don't have to worry about holding it at all. So I'm just going to start with the broom. I have like no nails, so what you're going to do is you're going to just get under that backing and peel it off, and just watch that you don't touch that stickiness, because you can pull it off on your fingers. And then just make sure this is still, hasn't moved, and then give that a press into place. Now, because this little dot is more likely to get lost, I'm actually just going to stick it in now and make sure, whoops, okay, there, and then make sure this hasn't twisted at all. Push that one into place, and then I'll probably just do all of the orange letters at the bottom. So what you do is just continue on doing this to all of them. Just gently pull that backing off, grab it by the edge, and then just press into place. All right, and then I will come back. Also, I'll just speed this part up, and I will come back, and then we will do the backing again. We did it on the last month's one, but for those of you who weren't in there, we will do it again for this one. Okay? Okay, so the next part, this part is done. So next you'll need your stand pieces here. Now, if we flip it over, we're going to kind of lose where center is. So just going to put a piece of tape here and find a pen. Okay, I'll be right back. Now, if I remember, which there's a chance I won't. If I remember to do this before I cut this, I will put a score line here, which will tell you where center is, so that when you go like this, then you can just line it up with that to make your mark. But I'm just going to eyeball it here. So yeah, good enough. Okay, so I'm just gonna, not sure why I did this at the top, but it's probably easier at the bottom. But anyways, it'll give me, okay, so what you'll do is you're going to use that center mark as your guide, but you're going to place this at the bottom. So just watch, your line should be going side to side, so at least you know you haven't turned it that way. And as long as you kind of, you know, you can use it as its guide, but eyeball that it looks centered, then you're good to go. But you don't want that going any more than that. So You'll need this piece. Now, after all that, you're going to lift this up, but you're going to place it underneath there. Now you need to center as best you can. It doesn't have to be so perfect, but so you want to have these little tabs centered this way, and then you just want to make sure this is centered there. So that should be pretty good. I can't get my head right in there. So once you kind of got an idea there, then I'm just going to make a mark here, a mark there, and if I take this off, then I'm going to make a mark here. Now with this gone, I'm just going to pull it down and make sure that it looks level. So that I might adjust that little line there, but as long as this is level, there is a little bit of wiggle room as it sits in there, but this at least gives you an idea where to glue. Now I usually use my Gorilla Glue, but I've left it at the store, so this is going to take a little longer to dry than I usually like. But so just get your glue. You won't need much. Just place it on your marks there and give it a press. It might slide on you, especially if you use wood glue. It tends to slide at first. See, I see that I'm probably not exactly centered, and see, if I had my measuring tape here, I'd probably be like over that right now. So yeah, I just shifted that over because it didn't like balance on both sides. So I mean, you basically want it in the middle. You just don't want to be able to have your sign tipping the design. So I'm just going to give this a moment, and in the meantime we will be working with these next. So these will go into here. I'm just going to give it a sand. Sometimes just that little bit helps it fit in there a little bit better. I mean, they're snug, but I'm just going to, okay, that's done. So if we put that in there, so I like the Gorilla Glue because then you won't see if you get too much in here, but I'm just gonna put it like pretty much just like a drop just to help it just go in there. Now, come on, slow motion. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna grab a toothpick. Okay, I don't have one, so I'll just use a skewer. I'm just gonna spread that out. I don't want a whole bunch seeping out when I stick this in there, so I probably still will because that seems like a lot now. But so place your first one in here. Yep, there comes all the glue. Just push it down and keep it as straight as possible, and then you can just wipe away any excess glue. I realized as I turned this over that I should have made sure my area was clean. I mean, I kind of knew it was, but I didn't mention it to you guys. Also, I like to put this back over top because it will protect what you just worked so hard on. So yeah, make sure you get it level this way, and then just come back in on this and make sure it just has it tipped over on its side. So just make sure it's dry and straight. Then I'm just gonna get another little bit of glue in here. And push that around. Okay, now this time you need to take, oops, let's give this a little sand because it just fit in so much nicer that way. Just a little bit on the sides, and then just the front and the back. All right, so don't just place it in there. You want to put that one in that hole. Place this one in this hole. And then you can push that one in there. See, now there comes all the glue. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a wipe. I mean, it doesn't matter if it squeezes all out, no one's going to be seeing it anyways. However, for presentation, it does look better if you wipe it up. And of course, it's a little difficult underneath this. So just maybe use a toothpick or a skewer. Usually I don't have this problem when I use my Gorilla Glue, so this is more my issue with the wood glue, but it still works. So I'm just going to give that a little longer to set, but if I lift it up, I'm going to take that part off now. If you lift it up and you lean it back, then you will have your sign. And then let's see if we can see that in the camera. I'm not sure at all what you can see. So maybe we'll come at it this way. There you go, just like that. So, and then when you're done, you can just fold it down and set it away. So, like I've mentioned before in other videos, is that keep your template cover because when you're going to store it away, it will protect all those pieces, especially ones with like little tiny, you know, dots like this. They may get knocked off if your area where you're keeping this is warm and it loosens the glue or the adhesive. And yeah, it just helps protect those edges. So yep, that one is done. Hope you enjoyed that one. The next one is the broom, and that one gets a little fun with all the little layers to work with. And anyways, yep, we'll see you back at the next video. Thanks, guys.